Today's story is over 6 years in the making. It's a story of the RCMP doing its best to protect our country and enforce our laws, but being undermined every step of the way by the public safety minister and ministry staffers. And the ministry staffers were doing it in the public, to the media, and behind the scenes. Today I'll show you the documents to prove it. 6 long years ago, Rebel News filed for Public Safety Ministry access to information documents. To do this important accountability journalism, we rely on your support. So thanks to your generous donations at a special website, rebelinvestigates.com. Now, it was a long time ago, so I'll give you a refresher on the story. Back in 2017, Ralph Goodale was Canada's public safety minister. Canada's border officials, including the Canada Border Services Agency, the CBSA, and the RCMP, were dealing with an explosion of illegal border crossers at the Roxham Road border crossing near Laval, Quebec. Now, the explosion of illegal border crossers was thanks in no small part to Justin Trudeau sending a tweet welcoming everybody to Canada in a petty, passive-aggressive virtue signal against then-President Donald Trump, who had just banned immigration from parts of the world where the identities of the applicants could not be appropriately vetted. So, in dealing with the influx of people entering our country illegally, the RCMP began using a questionnaire to screen out extremists for their views on religion and values. Why? Many of these people were making irregular refugee claims and were being released into our country until an immigration review hearing years down the road. Now, activists at the time claimed the questionnaire targeted Muslims, and Ralph Goodale, the public safety minister, told the media the RCMP had suspended its use. Now, we filed for internal communications within the RCMP when Goodale took to the media to accuse our nation's police force of anti-Muslim sentiment and profiling. I just got the documents back last week, some 6.5 years later, nearly 360 pages worth. Let's go through them together. On page 1, we can see the Minister of Public Safety wants the RCMP to expunge any controversial information they collected from their files. On page 9, you can see the RCMP found out from the government's talking points that they were supposed to stop using the interview questions. It reads, "We have 9 media calls on this one using the lines below. However, public safety is using a much different answer." On page 11, now these are the Trudeau government talking points the RCMP got sent to them from the Public Safety Ministry, including, of course, diversity is our strength. On page 18, this is the RCMP backgrounder, which points out that these people crossing the border into Canada are, by nature of crossing the border into Canada, committing a crime, and that the police have no clue what their intentions might be or what other illegal activity they may have been involved with, hence all the questions in the questionnaire. Look at this. When individuals are intercepted crossing the border illegally, their intentions are not known. A preliminary risk assessment is conducted by the RCMP to determine if the person has been previously involved in any illegal activity, such as possession of contraband, drug trafficking, and or any connection to organized criminal groups or terrorism. The RCMP assesses each situation and determines the appropriate manner in which to proceed, whether the individual should remain in RCMP custody pending further investigation or be transferred to the CBSA for their asylum claim to be assessed or processed. The RCMP also points out that the information obtained from the questionnaire should have been saved and kept by the RCMP under their normal operational rules. However, the ministry intervened to make sure the RCMP had little to no data on the potential for actual criminals entering the country. Page 24 and 25, we see the RCMP wondering what to do when they read in the media that the minister has says they aren't using the questionnaire anymore. Look at this. I know they are still using it. On page 111 and 112, we can see that they're going through all the files to see how many include the questions and to see which files will be quote-unquote restricted. On page 116, bureaucrats then order the destruction of every copy of the questionnaire, including blank copies. On page 208, an RCMP officer in French brings up the Via train bomber, and he doesn't want to let someone else in along with the illegal border crossers who might look like he's a nice guy but could be planning something and threaten national security. And lastly, on page 254, we see a chef's kiss perfect summation of the Liberals' border policy. One bureaucrat explains that they don't need to record the interviews with the illegal border crossers anymore anyway, because they're just not going to charge them. Here's the direct quote. As a follow-up to our conversation, the recorded interviews are not necessary if you think it will speed things up due to the nature of the offense and the fact that most will not be charged with a criminal offense. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. Today's story was made possible through your generous crowdfunded donations to a special investigations website. It helps us hold the government to account for the things they say behind closed doors when they think nobody is watching or listening. That special website is rebelinvestigates.com.